Good evening, everybody. I'm back. You guys have been very, very accommodating for me to deal with all of these great 6 p.m. Q&As. I've had a great time with you all, so thank you very, very much for joining me for my last personal conversation of the TCM Classic Cruise this year, and I'm ending on a high note because I get to bring out the wonderful Stefanie Powers.
I don't wear dresses very often, so I have to take advantage of it.
There you go. Welcome, welcome. Please have a seat. It's great to see you. We've already
There's so much to do. Aren't you exhausted?
We've all had a very nice, relaxing day, though, haven't we? I hope so. Okay, something I learned about you. How many languages do you speak?
Well, Polish is my first language because we spoke Polish at home. Somebody's Polish?
Oh, wow.
My name on the birth certificate is Stefania Zofia Federkiewicz. Wouldn't fit on the marquee, I don't think, but so my father changed it, and I changed it, and or Columbia Pictures changed it. But so Polish, English, French, Italian, Spanish, Kiswahili, and some Mandarin Chinese. It's been my wicked past, you see.
The one I'm most curious about is Mandarin. How did you learn any Mandarin?
Well, I had a house in Hong Kong, which of course is Cantonese, for a long time, and I was very keen on spending as much time in China as I could while China was in transition. And I don't know if we have enough time, but I will tell you a very quick story. Okay. William Holden did 2 rather iconic films. Nancy, Kwan is Here. They did The World of Susie Wong, and of course before that he did Love is a Many Splendid Thing. Now, Love is a Many Splendid Thing is taken from a series of books by a woman called Han Su-yen. In fact, that was her story. She lived, she was in love with that American journalist, and so when Bill did that film first, and Hong Kong was a very different place and a very exciting place to be, and he was fascinated by it. So he wound up buying an apartment in Central on Robinson Road, and he would go up to the New Territories to overlook the bridge at Lo Wu, not at River Kwai, not the bridge on the River Kwai, but the bridge at Lo Wu, which was the bridge from the New Territories of Hong Kong into Red China, the forbidden place. And it was very much a forbidden place, you know. It was, there was a tremendous amount of antagonism on that border. And then when I went to Hong Kong with Bill in the early 70s, he took me up to that bridge, and we kept talking about how much we'd love to go into China. We traveled extensively to a lot of unusual places, and one of them was Papua New Guinea. And in Papua New Guinea, they have some of the most beautiful prized oceanic art in the whole of Oceania. And because Bill was friendly with the new president, we made a collection of art, which we then convinced Bloomingdale's to use in some of their designer rooms so that we could help create a cottage industry and encourage artists, native artists, to do traditional work, not airport art, and keep those traditions alive, because in Papua New Guinea they have about, 200, I think it is, different tribes. And their artistic expression is exquisite. So we did a fantastic and very successful show at Bloomingdale's. Excuse me.
Please help yourself.
Here we go. I got very tall over one summer, and these things popped out on my chest. things that ballerinas didn't have. And so I was brokenhearted, but I was asked to leave this little kiddies ballet company. And a friend of a friend said, why don't you try studying at the Eugene Loring's American School of Ballet, which was on Hollywood Boulevard. George Takaris studied there. Yeah, and Matt Maddox, who was one of the brothers in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, was the jazz teacher. We were all in love with him. And the first time I started studying jazz was with Matt Maddox at there. There was a bulletin board that posted all the auditions of all the traveling shows or any companies or any place where dancers could possibly audition and get a job. So I had a girlfriend who was a couple of years older than I, and she could drive, and we were both tall, and then never look at dancers' faces. So we would go to these auditions, and we'd be kept till the end, and then the girl with the clipboard would come by, and she'd finally look at us and say, oh my God, well, how old are you? We'd stand up very tall and say, 17, and she'd say, get out of here. And in one of these auditions for a movie called West Side Story, I went to 16 dance auditions, always getting eliminated, and did 3 screen tests before I was asked to go get my work permit. So I had to go, my mother had to drive me downtown, and I had to get a work permit, and she had to be on the set because I was 15 years old. So we rehearsed for almost 2 months before it was impossible for me to carry on, because I could only work so many hours a day and so many, but as a result of that, I met some people in the commissary who asked me to come and read for a part in an independent film. His name was Tom Laughlin. He came to fame with a movie called Billy Jack. Do you remember that? Oh, great. Oh, so Tom, who loved to do film and small films, and he was a protege of a producer at, oh gosh, wait a minute. Talk among yourselves, 1 minute. Jerry Wald, who was a producer at 20th Century Fox. And so Jerry Wald would show his movies at his home. And it would fade out, fade in. I'd wind up doing the lead role in his little movie. And Jerry Wald used to show it to all sorts of people. It was the first house I'd ever gone to that had a proper movie screen. And behind every potted palm was a recognizable face, including Audrey Hepburn, and who would stay at the Wald's house. So because so many people would come to see his movie, I was given an opportunity to go to 3 different studios and join the talent department, the contract players who were studying with some of the most extraordinary talent acting coaches. At 20th Century Fox, it was Sandy Meisner who was giving the classes to the contract players. Zina Provendy at MGM, who was a protege of Stella Adler's. And the man who was at Columbia, Les Mahoney, had formerly run the classical theater in San Francisco. So I was the biggest of the busiest nobody in town. I was going to all of these studios and attending classes. And one day, I was late for class at Columbia Pictures. And so I took a shortcut through the editing department where they had these pushing doors that you just pushed. And I pushed the door into a man who was wearing the same sunglasses I was wearing. Now these sunglasses were the latest thing in the French Riviera. And in those days, this is the 60s, The latest thing on the French Riviera would take 3 years to get to California. And he said to me, and I was wearing the same glasses, and he said, "Where did you get those glasses?" And I said, "Well, my friend was driving in the Monte Carlo rally and he brought them to me." And I said, "Where did you get yours?" And he said, "I was at the Monte Carlo rally." And he said, "What do you do here?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm an actress." He said, "Really? Are you any good?" No one had ever asked me that before. And I said, "Well, yes, I am, yes, I am." He said, "Well, you ought to come and see me. I'm making a movie here." I said, "Well, I can't come and see you. I'm late for class." He said, "All right, come up after class. I'm on the 4th floor, and my name is Blake Edwards."
So that led to Experiment in Terror.
That led to Experiment in Terror and a contract at Columbia Pictures.
Oh my God, that's great. Okay, I want to make sure